The text came at 3:47 a.m., lighting up my bedroom like an accusation. Amanda, stay away from Mom's funeral. You abandoned her when she needed you most. We don't want you there. None of us do. I stared at my sister's words until they blurred, thinking about the $4,300 hospice bill I paid last week. The specially ordered hospital bed in Mom's room that cost $12,000. The private nurse, Maria, who I'd hired for night shifts at $45 per hour. All handled quietly, through my lawyer, because Mom had asked me to let Amanda think she's in charge. It's the only thing that makes her feel important. My phone buzzed again. Amanda, don't bother responding. Just know you're not welcome. You made your choice when you moved to Chicago and left us to care for her. I got out of bed and walked to my home office, unlocking the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. Inside was a folder labeled Mom, 2023. Every payment, every medical record, every late-night call with her doctors, documented and dated. The truth was, I hadn't abandoned anyone. I just learned to love my mother from a distance that kept Amanda's toxicity at bay. Ms. Davidson. Maria's text popped up. I'm so sorry about your mother. I was with her at the end. She asked me to tell you she understood, and that the blue envelope is in her dresser. The blue envelope. Mom's cryptic mention during our last lucid conversation 3 weeks ago. When the time comes, she'd whispered, remember the blue envelope. It's all there. My landline rang, the private number only 5 people had. I picked up, knowing who it would be. Catherine, Howard Brennan's familiar voice, my mother's lawyer for 30 years. She passed an hour ago, peacefully. I know, I said quietly. Amanda's already banned me from the funeral. He made a sound between a sigh and a snort. Yes, well, about that. Your mother left very specific instructions. The blue envelope, in her dresser? You knew. She mentioned it. What's inside? I can't say yet. But be at Morgan Brothers' funeral home tomorrow at 2 p.m. Don't engage with Amanda. Don't argue. Just be there. I looked at the stack of medical bills on my desk. 5 years of quietly handling everything while Amanda posted Facebook updates about being Mom's devoted caregiver and telling relatives how I'd abandoned the family. Howard, I said, I've been hiding my involvement because Mom asked me to, protecting Amanda's ego. Maybe it's time. Wait, he cut me off. Your mother knew exactly what she was doing. Trust her plan. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and clicked through photos from the last 5 years. Mom and me at her favorite cafe, taken during my business trips to Boston that were really care planning visits. Weekly FaceTime screenshots of us doing crossword puzzles together. The calendar alerts still set for our daily 4 p.m. calls. Amanda had no idea. She thought those calls went to her phone, thanks to the carefully programmed forwarding system I'd set up. Mom hadn't wanted to hurt her, but she'd needed to hear my voice every day. My phone buzzed with another text from Amanda, this time to our family group chat. Making final arrangements for Mom. Small, private funeral tomorrow at 2 p.m. Close family only. Some people who abandoned their mother and only care about inheritance aren't welcome. You know who you are. 3 cousins immediately responded with supportive emojis. Aunt Susan chimed in. You're such a devoted daughter, Amanda. Your mother was so lucky to have you. I added the messages to my documentation folder, then opened my email. Howard had sent the funeral home address and one instruction. Bring ID and the power of attorney documents. At 1:45 p.m. the next day, I parked across from Morgan Brothers' funeral home. Amanda's social media was already active. A selfie of her in black, caption reading, "Saying goodbye to my beloved mother. Some people won't be here because they couldn't be bothered to care for her, but those who truly loved her will gather today." I watched my relatives arrive. Aunt Susan, Uncle Pete, cousins in their Sunday best. Amanda stood at the door like a bouncer, accepting hugs and sympathy, playing the role of grieving, devoted daughter. Maria's car pulled up. She saw me and nodded once. In her hand was a large blue envelope. At precisely 2 p.m., I stepped out of my car. Amanda spotted me immediately, her face darkening. "How dare you?" she hissed, moving to block the entrance. "I told you to stay away." Behind her, Howard appeared in the doorway. "Actually, Amanda, Catherine is not only welcome, she's required to be here. Your mother's explicit instructions." "Mom would never," Amanda started. "Mom did," I said quietly, pulling out my phone. "And before we go in, you might want to see exactly what she wanted everyone to know." I held up the screen, showing 5 years of receipts, medical orders, and daily care logs. Amanda's face went from angry to pale in seconds. "That's not possible," she whispered. "You abandoned us. You left. Everyone knows." "Everyone knows what you told them," I corrected. "Mom knew the truth." And apparently, I nodded toward Maria and the blue envelope. She documented everything. Howard cleared his throat. "Shall we begin? There's quite a lot to discuss." Amanda's carefully constructed narrative was about to shatter. And for the first time in 5 years, I didn't have to pretend it wasn't there. The funeral home's reception room felt too small for the weight of secrets it was about to hold. Family members shifted uncomfortably as Howard asked everyone to be seated, his briefcase and Maria's blue envelope sitting ominously on the podium. "Before we proceed with the service," Howard began, "Margaret Davidson left explicit instructions about how this day should unfold." Amanda tried to interrupt. "We don't need to." Actually, Howard cut in firmly. "We do. It's a condition of the will." He opened the blue envelope first, removing a USB drive and a handwritten letter. "Margaret recorded this video 3 months ago. She was of sound mind, with 2 physicians and myself as witnesses." The projector hummed to life, and suddenly Mom was there on the wall, thin but clear-eyed, sitting in her favorite armchair. The timestamp showed March 15, 2023, 2:14 p.m. "If you're watching this," she began, "I'm gone, and Amanda has probably already tried to prevent Catherine from attending my funeral." The room went silent. Aunt Susan's supportive hand dropped from Amanda's shoulder. "For the past 5 years," Mom continued, "I've asked Catherine to hide her involvement in my care. Not because she wanted to, but because I needed to understand something about my daughters. And now I do." She held up a stack of papers, copies of the same documentation I had collected. "Catherine has paid for my medical care, arranged my hospice, hired my nurses, and called me every day at 4 p.m. Those calls, Amanda claimed, were coming to her, forwarded from Catherine's line, at my request. The expensive treatments Amanda told everyone she funded. All Catherine, working through Howard to keep it quiet. In the front row, Amanda's face had gone from pale to ashen. "Why the deception?" Mom continued. "Because Amanda needed everyone to think she was my devoted caregiver. She needed the attention, the praise, the social media sympathy. And I enabled that, to see how far she would go." The video showed Mom picking up another document, Amanda has spent the past 5 years telling everyone that Catherine abandoned me. Posted it on Facebook, told our family, even had our church prayer group believing it. All while living in my house rent-free, using my credit cards, and taking credit for the care her sister provided. Aunt Susan made a small sound of distress. Uncle Pete was staring at his hands. But here's what truly broke my heart. Mom's voice hardened slightly. Last month, Amanda sold my wedding ring collection. Pieces I specifically told her were meant for Catherine. She claimed I had given them to her, then used the money to take a cruise. She posted photos of that cruise the same week Catherine was quietly paying $23,000 for my new heart medication. Maria, standing by the door, nodded in confirmation. She had been there when Amanda took the rings, ignoring Mom's protests. So today, Mom continued, the truth comes out. In this envelope is a complete accounting of the past 5 years. Every payment Catherine made. Every lie Amanda told. Every post, every text, every manipulated moment. Howard paused the video, turning to address the stunned room. There's more, but first, Amanda, would you like to explain the rings? Amanda stood up, hands shaking. This is elder abuse. Catherine manipulated Mom, turned her against me. I was here every day. I posted about being here every day. I corrected quietly. Actually, being here was different. Would you like to see the security footage from Mom's cameras? The ones that show how many nights you really spent devotedly caring for her? You spied on me? No, Howard interjected. Margaret did. She wanted evidence of exactly how her daughters behaved when they thought no one was watching. He pressed play again. Mom's face reappeared, softer now. Catherine, my darling girl, I'm so sorry I asked you to hide your love, to watch while your sister twisted the truth. But I needed to know. Would you care for me without recognition? Love me without praise? You did, every day. Tears I hadn't expected slid down my face. Amanda, Mom continued, I love you. But this performance you've created, this false narrative about your sister, it ends today. The truth is in this envelope, and the consequences are in my will. The video ended. Howard opened his briefcase. The will reading follows the funeral, he announced. But Margaret wanted everyone to know exactly why things are divided as they are. No contests, no confusion, no manipulation of facts. Amanda sank back into her chair, her carefully constructed world crumbling. The relatives who had been comforting her moments ago now sat with visible discomfort, processing 5 years of manufactured drama. Maria stepped forward, adding a thick folder to Howard's stack. I have the nursing logs, she said clearly. Every visit, every payment, every time Amanda said she was here, but wasn't. And every time Catherine called, visited, or arranged care while asking us to let Amanda take the credit. Aunt Susan was crying quietly. Uncle Pete had moved to the back row, avoiding everyone's eyes. Our cousins studied their phones, probably deleting supportive comments from Amanda's posts. Howard gathered his materials. The service begins in 20 minutes. Margaret asked that we all sit with this truth before saying goodbye. She wanted honesty in her farewell. As the family filed out to the main chapel, Amanda grabbed my arm. How could you do this to me? She hissed. I gently removed her hand. I didn't do anything to you, Amanda. I just loved Mom quietly while you loved yourself loudly. She figured out which one mattered more. The blue envelope sat on the podium, 5 years of truth finally set free. And somewhere, I hoped Mom was smiling. The funeral service itself, was a study in uncomfortable silences. Amanda sat in the front row, no longer the confident director of events, but a woman watching her carefully curated image dissolve in real time. Every time someone mentioned Mom's devoted care, the words carried new weight, heavy with exposed truth. I delivered my eulogy second, after Amanda's performance of grief that now rang hollow to everyone present. Mom taught me that love doesn't need an audience. I began, touching the podium where her photo smiled at the gathered family. She showed me that real care happens in quiet moments, in daily decisions, in choosing to do what's right even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. From the corner of my eye, I saw Maria nodding slightly. She held a tissue to her eyes, perhaps remembering all those nights when I'd called to check on Mom's comfort, always asking her to let Amanda take credit for any improvements. The last time we spoke, I continued, Mom told me about watching the sunrise through her window. She said, Katie, some people need to paint their names across the sky to feel important. Others just make sure the sun has a clear path to rise. That was Mom, always seeing through to the heart of things. Amanda shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Several relatives were looking between us, mentally rewriting 5 years of family history. After the service, Howard gathered us in the funeral home's private conference room. The blue envelope had multiplied into several files, spread across the polished table. Before we proceed with the will, Howard began, Margaret left specific instructions about family heirlooms. He lifted a detailed inventory. The wedding ring collection that was removed from the premises last month needs to be addressed. Amanda's face flushed. I told you, Mom gave those to me. Actually, Howard slid forward a notarized document. Margaret explicitly documented her wishes regarding the rings on February 12th, including this video statement. He played a short clip on his tablet. Mom, sitting in her hospital bed, spoke clearly. I want it known that my wedding ring collection, including my grandmother's sapphire band, is to go to Catherine. Amanda was informed of this multiple times. The rings were sold to Cartwright Jewelers, I said quietly. I have the transaction record. $47,000 deposited to Amanda's personal account on March 3rd. The same day she posted photos from her Caribbean cruise. That money needs to be repaid. Howard stated firmly. It's listed as theft in the will, not inheritance. Amanda stood up so quickly her chair scraped the floor. This is ridiculous. I took care of her. I was there. Everyone saw my posts, my updates, Your performance, Maria interrupted, speaking for the first time. I saw the reality, Amanda. I was there for the actual care, not the photo ops. Would you like me to share the visitation log? The nights you were too busy, while Catherine arranged everything from Chicago. Margaret kept meticulous records. Howard continued, opening another file. Here's a breakdown of expenses for the past 5 years. Catherine's contributions total $486,000. This includes medical care, home modifications, private nursing, and specialized treatments. Amanda's contributions, he paused, checking the figure, show a negative balance of $68,000, representing unauthorized credit card charges and personal expenses charged to Margaret's accounts. The room fell silent, except for Amanda's rapid breathing. Additionally, Howard lifted another document. Margaret recorded every instance of Catherine's involvement that Amanda claimed as her own. 57 Facebook posts taking credit for care arrangements Catherine made. 32 family emails describing devotion that camera footage proves didn't exist. and one particularly concerning Instagram campaigns soliciting donations for medical expenses that were already being paid by Catherine. "That's fraud," I said softly. "The donations, Amanda. What happened to that money?" She wouldn't meet my eyes. Howard answered instead. "According to bank records, $23,400 was raised through Amanda's social media appeal. The funds were used for a down payment on her new Mercedes." Aunt Susan gasped. She had donated $5,000 to that campaign. "Here's what's going to happen," Howard stated, his tone leaving no room for argument. "The will reading follows shortly, but Margaret required these issues be resolved first. Amanda, you have 30 days to repay the ring money. Return the donated funds to all contributors with a full explanation, and post a public correction about Catherine's role in Margaret's care. And if I refuse—" Amanda's voice shook slightly. Howard smiled thinly. "Then we proceed with legal charges for theft and fraud." Margaret was very thorough in protecting Catherine's reputation once the truth emerged. I opened my phone's photo gallery, finding the last picture I had taken with Mom. It was during a quiet moment 3 months ago, both of us working on her favorite crossword puzzle. No social media posts, no audience, just love. "Amanda," I said, turning the phone so she could see. "Mom knew you needed recognition. She understood that. But she couldn't understand why you needed to destroy me to get it." "I didn't," she started, then stopped, staring at the photo. "When was that taken?" "I thought I was there that day." "You were in Cancun," Maria provided. "Catherine flew in specifically because you had a beach trip planned during your mother's chemotherapy week." Amanda sank back into her chair, the weight of exposed truth finally becoming real. Howard gathered his files. "The will reading begins in 10 minutes. Margaret suggested we all take a moment to reflect on what real devotion looks like." The room emptied slowly, leaving me alone with the evidence of 5 years of quiet love. On the table, Mom's photo seemed to wink at me, as if to say, "The truth may whisper, but it never stays silent forever." The will reading was everything Mom had promised in her video: methodical, clear, and impossible to contest. Howard delivered each revelation with the precision of a surgeon, cutting through years of deception. "The family home at 1542 Maple Grove Road," he began, "is transferred to Catherine Davidson, along with its contents, excluding personal items specifically listed in Appendix A." Amanda's sharp intake of breath echoed in the quiet room. She'd been living in that house rent-free, claiming she needed to be close to Mom. Margaret's investment portfolio, valued at approximately $2.1 million, is to be divided as follows. Howard continued. 80% to Catherine Davidson, in recognition of her financial support and care. 10% to a medical care trust for future family needs. The remaining 10% to Amanda Davidson, contingent upon full repayment of unauthorized expenditures and completion of the previously discussed public corrections. I watched my sister's face transition from shock to calculation. Even now, she was probably figuring out how to spin this, how to play the victim one more time. Additionally, Howard lifted another document. Margaret left specific instructions about family history and photographs. All digital assets are to be transferred to Catherine's control, with a requirement that false social media posts about Margaret's care be removed and corrected. "You can't control what I post," Amanda protested weakly. "No," Howard agreed, "but Margaret's estate can sue for defamation if you continue to misrepresent events." She was quite clear about that. The next hour unfolded like a careful demolition of Amanda's carefully constructed narrative. Every account, every heirloom, Every piece of Mom's life had been designated with purpose, not just distributing assets, but restoring truth. Maria provided a final statement about Mom's last days. Margaret was at peace with this decision, she said softly. She told me, "My greatest gift to Catherine is letting everyone finally see her heart. My last lesson for Amanda is showing her that truth doesn't need an audience to matter." 2 weeks later, I stood in Mom's, now my, kitchen, sorting through decades of memories. The house felt different without the hospital bed in the living room, without the constant beeping of medical monitors. Amanda had moved out silently the day after the funeral, leaving behind only a trail of expensive shopping bags and unpaid bills. My phone buzzed with a notification. Amanda had finally posted her required public statement. In light of recent revelations, I need to correct some things I've shared about my mother's care. While I'd presented myself as her primary caregiver, it was actually my sister Catherine who provided and funded most of Mom's medical support. I took credit for her contributions and misused funds intended for Mom's care. The truth is, Catherine never abandoned our mother. I abandoned my integrity. I'm sorry. The comments were a mix of confusion and dawning understanding. Aunt Susan had added a long post about learning the difference between performance and devotion. Uncle Pete shared the nursing home's official statement, praising my extraordinary behind-the-scenes support. I closed the social media apps and opened my email instead. Howard had forwarded the first round of repayment confirmations. Amanda returning donations to everyone who had contributed to her fraudulent fundraiser. The ring money was still outstanding, but Cartwright Jewelers had agreed to help track down and recover the pieces that hadn't yet been resold. Maria stopped by that evening, bringing a final box of Mom's medical records and a surprise, a journal she'd kept during her night shifts. "Your mother asked me to give you this after everything was settled," she explained, handing me a worn blue notebook. She wrote in it every night, documenting the truth she couldn't share yet. Later, after Maria left, I sat in Mom's favorite window seat and opened the journal. Her familiar handwriting filled page after page. Catherine called again tonight, checking every detail of my comfort. She thinks I'm asleep when she talks to Maria about treatment options, but I hear the love in every question. Another beautiful care package arrived from Chicago today. Amanda took photos with it for Facebook, but it was all Catherine. My brilliant Katie, hiding her light so her sister can shine, but a mother knows where the real light comes from. The last entry was dated just 3 days before she passed. I've spent 5 years watching one daughter build a fantasy while the other built a foundation. Catherine understood that love doesn't need likes or shares or public approval. She just loved me, quietly and completely. The truth is finally ready to be heard. I closed the journal, holding it close to my heart as tears fell freely. On the kitchen counter, Mom's favorite teacup sat where she'd last left it. I filled it with her preferred chamomile blend and settled back into the window seat. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Howard. "Margaret left one last thing for you. Check the blue envelope's inside pocket." There, tucked in a corner I'd somehow missed, was a small handwritten note. "Katie, my love. Some people need spotlights to feel seen. You taught me that real love shines brightest in the quiet moments. Thank you for letting me protect Amanda's fragile ego one last time. Now it's your turn to step into the light. All my love, Mom." I sipped Mom's tea from Mom's cup in Mom's window seat. Now mine, all mine, earned through love rather than performance. Outside, a family of cardinals settled into the bird bath I'd had installed for her last spring. No one would post about this moment. No one would claim credit or seek attention. And that, I finally understood, was exactly how Mom wanted it. Real love doesn't need an audience. It just needs to be true.